Hi there, this is Sam with Bulldog Rooter. Today I'm doing a video inspection for the main sewer line for 2903 East 15th Avenue in Spokane, Washington. We're doing this video inspection just to see the condition of the line and see if there's any issues with it and see how well it's going to be working over the next years. So right now we are pushed all the way out to the end of the sewer line, and I'm going to pull back and do my video inspection. We are doing this video inspection from a clean out in the basement in the house, and we're pushed all the way out to where it connects to the city main. So right here, what we're looking at in the camera, I'll pull back just a little bit, is the city main itself. So the pipe we're going to be pulling back and looking at is the main sewer line. That pipe right in front of us is where everything dips out, and it is no longer your problem. The homeowner is responsible for the connection to the city main, and then the main sewer line all the way back towards the house is what you would own essentially with this line. So we're going to start to pull back here. Right now, when we pull back, we can see that there's just a little bit of water draining down. We had to flush the toilet a couple times to get the camera out here and to just wash off the lens. We are in 4-inch clay tile pipe. Clay tile is usually a pretty good pipe. What will happen is clay tile is put into 2 to 5 foot sections, and over time these sections will start to settle in the ground, and you'll get joints in the pipe that are offset. You can see a minor crack in the clay tile towards the left hand side of the pipe right over here, and other than that it looks like it's pretty okay. As we're pulling back, there's just a little bit of standing water in the bottom of this. We did have to run some water, but it looks like this thing just has kind of a flat pitch. It's not necessarily back graded because this water is all definitely moving downwards, but it's just a little flat. Shouldn't be causing too much of a problem, to be honest. But as we pull back a little bit more, we're starting to see that we are going underwater. I do believe that this part is actually back graded. My camera lens is about 1.5 inches in diameter, so we can assume that we are at least in 1.5 inches of water right now. The pipe is about 70 feet long. We're pulling back, and you see a little bit of debris in there and whatnot, but this is still just a little bit too much water for it to be holding in this section right here. Kind of hard to see the condition of the pipe. You can definitely see some roots towards the left-hand side of the screen. Roots is pretty normal to be coming in this pipe. Okay, that's a little bit better. So yeah, that section is just a little bellied. Has a little bit of water holding in it. Bellied meaning that it is actually draining uphill. So what will happen is you'll get a pool of water always sitting inside of the pipe. And what's going to happen essentially is that the more this line is used with solids and other things going down it, it'll get caught up in that bellied section and kind of create a mushy substance. The belly is not too bad, and it's not very long, so I don't think it'll cause too much of an issue, but it is definitely something to be aware of. Right there, we're looking at one of the clay tile seams. That one looks almost perfect, so that's good. And then right here, we got a little bit more root growth towards the right-hand side and left-hand side of the pipe. That seam looks pretty normal as well. I think that it could be a little separated towards the bottom, and that's why we're seeing this pool of water at the bottom of the pipe right here. Pulling back, we see a little bit more roots kind of around the sides of the pipe and up towards the top of the pipe as well. We see another seam right there with just a little bit more roots. So far the root intrusions themselves really aren't too bad. Most of the time when I see root intrusions, it's actually taking up about 80 to 90% of the pipe. So you'll barely see like a hole or something in the roots. So this line does look fairly clean. Towards the left-hand side of the pipe, which would be the top of the screen, you can see another root growth coming in at these seams with clay tile. Once again, it's very normal. What I usually suggest for clay tile pipe is to get it cleaned out every once in a while, just to make sure that these roots don't grow back and actually start creating issues. So we can see towards the top of the pipe right here, or excuse me, the right-hand side of the pipe, there's another root intrusion with a seam. The seam looks like it's in good condition. The root intrusion's pretty normal, and it's also fairly small, so it doesn't look too bad. It's looking like we got some more roots and some other just debris kind of stuck in the bottom parts of this line right here. It's not normal for a clay tile pipe to trench out, so I'm thinking what's mostly going on right here is that there's a separation in this next seam, which is right here, towards the bottom, and a lot of this stuff seems like it's getting caught up from earlier on in the pipe. I could see what the issue is, and we'll get to that here in a second, but we can see there's a bigger root growth towards the left-hand side of the pipe, towards the top of the screen, another kind of smaller root growth towards the right-hand side of the screen. Both of these honestly don't look too bad. It's all this debris in the line that I'm worried about, but I think that could actually be some more roots, toilet paper in this section once again, and it's just looking like, since it's getting caught up with these roots, this stuff gets caught up in the line. It kind of gets to sit here, unfortunately. But we got another pretty big root growth as we pull back right here at another seam as well, towards the top of the screen and towards the bottom of the screen. You can see it pretty well. So I think that the one of the main issues with this line is right here. We're seeing all this root growth and whatnot. It looks like we are still on the clay tile pipe. Here in a sec we should be. Come and see, there's another seam right there. It doesn't look as good. There's definitely roots growing on the side walls of the line, and it's looking like the bottom of the line is almost trenched out, meaning that there's a hole going all the way through where this water is running, but it's not. I think it's just because the amount of debris that's getting caught up in this line from the roots and from earlier on in the pipe, which is going to be just about right here. We can see another root growth, and then we pop down into another separation. And you can see as I'm pulling myself through the sludge, you know, it's fairly sludgy. There's a very big belly right there. And we're in this belly. We're going to start to pull out of the water here in a sec, and we'll get a picture of what we just went through. So this is part of the line that's bellied. We're still in this clay tile pipe, and that sludge, I mean, it's just all built up from roots. I definitely think what would be good for this line is to get it maintenanced and get it cleaned out. With all this water holding in here, it does make it a little hard to do the video inspection, but as you can see, we're looking at a seam right now. The bottom of the pipe is going to be where all that water is right there, and that is all holding in this section because there's a separation in this seam. It's definitely draining uphill. Sludge is getting built up in this section. It is pushing itself out and spanning itself through the pipe, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's not, very good either. You can see more root growth in the tile pipe, and then right here, unfortunately, we switched from clay tile to what's called Orangeburg, 4-inch Orangeburg pipe. Orangeburg was put in between World War I and World War II to save up on metals. This type of pipe is basically made up of wood pulp and compressed tar paper in layers. So what will happen with this pipe is over time, it's just like getting paper wet. You'll start to see boils in specific parts of the pipe, as you can see towards the top of the screen. You see how the bottom of the pipe looks very rough. Those are the boils that I'm talking about. Towards the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side of the pipe, very rough again as well. More boils. You see there's a root intrusion where the Orangeburg connects to the clay tile as well. Honestly, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to get an estimate on getting this line repaired. There's ways of doing it nowadays to where they can actually force a new pipe into the old pipe and burst it in the ground, called pipe bursting or pipelining, and it'll make this Orangeburg go away, and that would be kind of the best thing. You can see that the bulbs are actually pretty big. Right over there towards the top of the screen we see another one, and what will happen with these bulbs over time is they'll start to crack and create holes in the pipe. Those holes will start to make the pipe weaker, and the pipe will start to ovalize, which means it's not necessarily in a circle anymore. Now we see that some of this pipe is actually, bulbed out here towards the top of the screen. You see how I'm pushing past it and whatnot. That'll catch stuff inside the line, get things to back up, and it looks like some of it's peeling off. And there's actually a hole right here where this water is sitting. Pull it back right here. I mean, this whole section towards the left-hand side of the pipe, which is the top of the screen, is bulbed all the way back. You can see that part of the pipe has a big hole in it on the left-hand side, towards the top right-hand side of the screen, and then part of the pipe is actually peeling. If you look down, straight down the pipe right now, you see it's not necessarily looking circular anymore. It's actually starting to ovalize in this section. This Orangeburg, unfortunately, is not in the best condition. There's a very large hole right here in the bottom of the pipe. There's more bulbs. This connection and seam looks pretty messed up. There's a big bulb. There's a hole in the bottom right there. And it's definitely ovalized. You can see that pretty clear right there. It's not a circle anymore. We're pulling it back here. About 25 feet out from our clean out where we did this video inspection from. It's looking like the pipe itself is starting to look a little bit less rough as we get closer to the house. There's not as many bulbs, but once it gets down there, and that's kind of where the main issue is, we can see towards the top right hand side of the screen, there was another bulb that we just passed. Pulling it back, you can see the whole bottom of the pipe is pretty rough. Definitely ovalized in this section. We got another hole in the pipe right over here. You can see it with all that water. And it's looking like right here we switched from the 4-inch Orangeburg to 4-inch cast iron, which is inside the house. You can see a little bit of rust debris and whatnot. The bottom of the pipe does look a little rough, yes, but that is pretty normal for a clay tile pipe, being as it's metal. Cast iron pipe, I'm getting mixed up. Being as it's metal, you can see it's kind of chipping away a little bit. Cast iron usually lasts pretty long, and this stuff looks to be pretty okay. Yeah, not seeing too much wrong with it. What we're really worried about is seeing very, very large cracks throughout the cast iron pipe. So far, I'm not really seeing too much. You can see how it's like a little chipped and a little rusted out in a couple of spots. A lot of times what will happen is the more the water runs down this line, you'll get almost like trench that goes through the cast iron. And it is starting to do that in a couple of little sections, as you can see, but nothing too major at all. I'd be looking towards the bottom of the pipe to see that trenching, which is going to be towards the top right-hand corner of the screen. And so far, I'm just not seeing much of that. Another connection right there, looks pretty normal. Got to be back inside the house right now. We're going to be popping out of our clean out soon. Looks like we got around a turn right there. Something else ties into this line. And then we're going to be popping out of our clean out right now. And here we are. There's a picture of the clean out in the basement. And that was Sam with Bulldog Rooter, and that is going to conclude your video inspection. Thank you.